Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Pilot Lawyer Podcast. Thank you for your attention while this important legal information is reviewed. What you hear should not replace consultation with an attorney and should not be considered advice for your situation. On behalf of the Pilot Lawyer and your entire crew, it's our pleasure to have you aboard.
Welcome, aviators, to the Pilot Lawyer Podcast with us, the Ison brothers at the Ison Law Firm. You're here for what we do best, navigating those who want to become pilots and are pilots through the FAA medical certification process. Around the office, we often say, if you don't laugh, you cry. So for the next 30 minutes, God willing, join us as we discuss the fascinating world of FAA medical certification. Anthony?
I'll take it away from here.
Take it away.
Well, today we're talking about disqualifying medications. What are they? Where do they come from? What happens when you take one?
How's a disqualifying medication made, Anthony?
Well, when a man and a woman love each other very much. So, Bailey's here. Give me the applause thing. She came back. What's this, week 4? A lot longer. Week 5. Is it everything you want and more? What do you think about the work-life dynamic?
Great.
Not working hard enough.
What about the work environment? Are you finding that
hostile?
Occasionally. No.
Oh my.
It's good.
Anyhow, so
moving on.
Heard enough out of Bailey.
Cut her mic.
There's some of that hostility.
What kind of medications are there that you just can't take? Well, the problem is you can get generalities. There's vaguities, if you will, generalities out there on the interweb. But the FAA doesn't publish a database, which is frustrating, I would say. I think there's legislation that is being produced or promoted to force the FAA to produce a database of some sort. And I think that would be helpful because then you could look up, oh, this medication doesn't work. And then you could not take it if you were trying to get a medical.
Seems like it'd be helpful to them to have that published.
It'd be helpful to everybody, I would say.
Now you're kind of forced to just Google it.
Guess it and Google it.
Google the name of the medication and put FAA medical certification.
Now there are some competitors, if you will, that have databases that they've produced. I don't know about that. I think it's kind of like my impression of these databases they're helpful, but they're kind of more of a this is what we've seen type of thing. They're not like tapping into some sweet database that the FAA has per se. There's no public database from the FAA, but there are generalities from the FAA.
Didn't we send the Federal Air Surgeon a letter asking?
Excellent question. I'm glad
we sent them a letter.
No, we didn't do a letter. We did a Freedom of Information Act request.
Even better. It's a letter with impetus.
Impetus and impotent, such as yourself. So, right? Bailey, do you think that one's funny? Okay, you can talk.
You can laugh into the microphone. You don't have to look away. She's squirming away downward.
That doesn't sound good.
That sounded worse. Never mind.
Anything to get out of this, huh, Bailey?
Yeah.
Usually.
That's the kind of can-do speaker we like.
Welcome aboard. All right, so here's what you can do if you're taking a disqualifying medication. First, you don't know if you're taking one, so you need to find out. How can you find... Oh, wait, let me back up. We did the Freedom of Information Act request.
How can you find out? Well, you don't know. This is how we found out.
We didn't find out. That's the thing. So we sent in a request for a Freedom of Information Act. Said, hey, we want a list of all the disqualifying medications. Surely there's a list, right? If you know it's disqualifying.
Back a 1-page, 2-sentence letter.
Yeah, it was from Dr. Susan Northrop, Federal Air Surgeon. It looked like it was actually her signature, too. Or someone had forged it for her.
Time out of her day to send us a
nice letter.
Little letter.
Not getting that. Pretty much what it said.
I think there was some kind of runaround that they gave us. Hey, go look at this.
Yeah, you can look at the website or something.
We got it on the website. Well, where is it on the website?
It's not on the website. Sorry to say. Unless we don't know how to work the internet.
Or the internet's working you.
Pretty sure Christopher knows how to work the internet.
I grew up with it.
It's interesting. So anyhow, we don't have a database. If anybody else has a database, I think it's questionable. I think some of them are, like if you Google, you put some of these medications into other people's databases or whatever, it might say approved on a case-by-case basis. What does that mean? Am I taking it in a capacity to which I can take it? Nobody knows. So here's what I recommend you do. If you're going to start a medication, you should really think long and hard about it with your doctor. Say, hey, you know what, doc? I'm
in what capacity? I mean, are you already a certificated airman, or are you looking to apply?
Any capacity. If you have a medical, you're about to apply, before you start a medication, you should say to your doctor, hey, you know, I'm a pilot. Do I have time to check this out? Now, some medications are going to be given to you stat, emergency. Get in here with that pill right now. Sometimes you just have to take the pill, right? You don't have time to sit there and Google, you know, is this going to work or not? Because I'm about to die, type of thing. So take that medication. And I would also add a disclaimer to this. Don't stop taking medication without consultation with your doctor, because that could kill you. So you don't want to die. Because one thing I've learned my decade of practice is that getting a medical is really hard when you're dead. Not impossible, but really hard.
Seen a few come through after the fact.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's true. There was an anecdote once of this guy that was like a mechanic, and he died. I guess he was like an IA, and there was like a stamp. He had like an IA stamp. I guess somebody got a hold of the stamp after this guy died, and they were stamping stuff. And the FAA,
going to town, huh?
Yeah, the FAA found out, reasonably so. Like, he's not here. He's dead. Anyhow, disqualifying medication. If you're going to start a medication, you should always talk about it with your doctor about you being a pilot ahead of time. You should try to do some research with it. The best way I can say to research the medication is to, unfortunately, Google it, run it through some of our competitors' databases, talk to your AME about it, give us a call. These are some options you have. Now, that being said, calling your AME, and maybe the AME can call the FAA and say, hey, this airman I have is considering starting this medication. What do you think? And they can say, hey, you know, pound sand, or yeah, they can take it as long as we get, you know, detailed clinical progress note, you know, associated with it or something to that effect. Alex, do you have anything to add?
Can you
want to make noise?
Can you call the FAA yourself?
You could call it. Yeah, you could call the FAA yourself. In theory, I guess if you're providing your name and whatnot, that could initiate a concern on their behalf, right? Well, this person's wanting to take an antipsychotic. They were asking about this antipsychotic. Maybe we should send them a letter. So you might want to do that anonymously.
To that end, if you are taking a medication or have previously been prescribed the medication, what's your obligation to inform the FAA when you go to apply?
If you're taking a medication, or you have recently been taking a medication, at question 17A on the medical application, you have to report what medications you're currently using. Now, that's a bit of a...
I was prescribed ADHD medication when I was 10-year-old. I'm 40 now. 40.
Were you really?
No, I wasn't. God, jeez. I mean, I think you would know. You were there for most of it all. You were alive. Don't you think if I had been prescribed ADHD medication, you would have heard about it multiple times over on this podcast, nonetheless?
Probably. Proceed.
Okay. Let's just say this fictitious airman is applying for a medical.
Or woman.
Bailey was applying for.
Has a history where they had ADHD medication prescribed when they were 10, took it for 6 months to a year. Now they're 40, haven't taken it since. Do they need to report that at 17A?
No, because the medical application asks, what are you currently using? But let me switch your hypothetical up a little bit. It's January 2025. I start taking Adderall. I have a prescription for Adderall.
How long is that good for?
It's good for 90 days. I stopped taking the Adderall at the end of January. Don't tell my doctor. I stopped taking the medication. February, I decided I'm going to apply for a medical certificate. I'm looking at this lovely question right here. Question 17A. currently using? Well, I'm not taking this Adderall anymore, Bailey. I've stopped taking it. I flushed it down the toilet. Am I currently using it? Yes, you are. NTSB case law suggests that, and states as such, that if you have a prescription for the medication, you're currently using it. I'll do you one better, Bailey. Ooh, I slipped and I've messed up my back. I can hardly move. Please, someone get that girdle in here to help my back.
You already got one on, sir.
All right. I thought my man breasts were especially supple today. So anyhow, you had this girdle on. You've broken your back practically, and your doctor prescribes you some oxycodone. And
Moxicodone.
oxycodone. No, oxycodone. Is it oxycodone? That sounded like I said oxycodone. Oxycodone.
Codone.
You said cowdone.
Cowdone.
Okay, oxycodone.
There's Oxycontin.
What's the difference?
There's
Alex?
oxycodone.
Prescribe that. I don't know.
Is there an oxycodone?
You're prescribing
Codeine,
stuff?
it's all codeine base, isn't it? Let's see.
Oxy. You got some oxy.
So while he looks that up, I'll continue the fact pattern. Sure. You get some oxy as needed. Take it as needed. 4 months from now, or I'll do you better. 4 years from now, I still have this oxy in my medicine cabinet. The only people looking at that are the guests that come by and pop open my medicine cabinet and see what I've got in there. I'm not using it, except for the occasional flare-up. My doctor said to keep it around, use it as needed. Am I currently using the medication, Bailey?
It's okay, honey. You can use your words. She's shaking her head vigorously up and down.
Oxycodone
Bailey has
and Oxycontin are essentially the same thing, just one's time release and the other's just straight to you. Go ahead.
Well, Bailey was over here with an adamant answer, which was yes. The problem being that you have this active prescription for medication that you use as needed.
You got all that out of a head nod?
Yep, she was very detailed. I'll give you another anecdote if you'd like, just to kind of kill some time here. We had one case. This individual is now deceased, so I can speak freely with limitation. Individual was Part 135 pilot. Please don't drink into the microphone. Individual was a Part 135 pilot, and he failed a drug test. Oxy. MRO called him up and said, hey, you tested positive for oxy. And the idea was that they were going to blast him out of the water. Say, you failed a drug test and we're going to revoke your certificates. Yeah. Oh no, I got a prescription here for this oxycodone. It's as needed for pain relief. And they said, oh, great. We can cancel this test. You had a reasonable medical explanation for it. You had a prescription. It's not like you were taking cocaine that you weren't prescribed.
It wasn't like you were taking something that nobody could have a prescription for, like cocaine.
Right. You had
a legitimate medical explanation for why you had the substance in your system.
So guy thinks
explained it away.
Guy thinks, oh, that's great.
Dodged a bullet.
Everything's fine. Not so fast.
Dodged a bullet right into the path of a howitzer.
Yeah. The MRO then picks up the phone, calls the FAA, because there's some subtle obligation there. I think there's a regulation. I should know. But there's some obligation for the MRO to then call the FAA and say, hey, well, there was this test where this individual tested positive. There was a reasonable medical explanation. Do you know he's taking oxycodone? And the problem being is that individual hadn't reported the oxycodone as 17A because he was taking it as needed, and he only had taken it for like the first time in 5 years. Just unfortunately, quote unquote, was caught on a positive test. So the FAA revoked all his certificates for falsification. And then he couldn't get his medical because the underlying condition for which he was taking the oxycodone. So isn't that crazy? It's a real
the wheels are turning over there in Bailey's mind. What do I say?
Stop looking at Bailey.
Yes.
for affirmation. So there's that. You don't want that to happen to you. You don't want to just kind of be randomly identified as, hey man, you've screwed up, or a lady. So what do you do? So again, you can Google, you can do all these things. I recommend calling your AME or anonymously calling the FAA, ask them about it. There are some medications, though, that are fairly commonly prescribed that are disqualifying, such as if not most, but all antidepressant medications are disqualifying. Amphetamines, antipsychotic, anti-seizure, gabapentin being one is a very popular one. Medications like Lexapro, Wellbutrin, which
those
are
are conditionally approved, right?
Well, that's where we get into a bit of a dicey spot. So
people will think, I'm on an SSRI. I'm on an approved SSRI. I can report this and I go get my medical.
Yeah.
Not so fast, bucko.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
You're going to have to jump through some hoops to prove that you can be on the medication and it be acceptable.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
so it's acceptable
still disqualified.
I like to think of it as acceptable for a waiver. It's not acceptable for regular medical certification. It's disqualifying, but it's something, what they're getting at is that there are aeromedically significant concerns that are associated with this medication.
Has your FAA medical certificate been denied? Are you concerned you may not be able to get a medical certificate from the FAA? Are you at risk for FAA action for failing to report your medical history appropriately? Call the pilot lawyer at 1-855-FAA-1215 to discuss your options for getting the FAA to issue your medical certificate and get you flying. We are happy to evaluate your case and discuss with you a plan for presenting your case to the AME or the FAA. Aviation law is all we do, nothing else.
However, those concerns can be mitigated and monitored to an acceptable level of risk if you're on a special issuance. And so that's what happens with most antidepressants there. Now, there are still antidepressants that are not approved whatsoever. We're not going to waive that. The only thing we're going to waive is what, Christopher?
The American flag.
Right, Bailey? So all of that to be said, let's say you get denied. Oh, you're taking a disqualifying medication. Sorry, honey. What happens then? Alex, you want to take a guess then?
Oh, so I was reading an email. Can you ask the question?
You get a request reconsideration.
There you go.
After maybe you come off the medication.
He got it.
No. No.
He was wrong.
What did you say?
I say come off the medication with the
Yeah.
oversight of your physician because
Yeah,
the medication is what's disqualifying you. Then you're going to request reconsideration and say, hey, I'm off the medication now. Take a look at it and see if you're, happy.
Yeah.
Of course, now
Would
they're
you
going to...
proactively provide any kind of testing or anything like that?
Well, yeah, you got to demonstrate stability off the medication, of course. So, it's a process. It's just not a matter of coming off the medication and being like, hey, I'm good to go. You're going to have to document for them coming off the medication, being off the medication for an appropriate period of time, and then showing that now that you're off the medication, there's no recurrence of symptoms such that the FAA would be concerned for recurrent symptoms that might lead to a sudden incapacitating event.
The underlying condition.
How is that for an answer?
Yeah.
I woke up just enough.
To hear yourself talking. The underlying condition.
Whoa, I'm saying words again.
The underlying condition then becomes the problem. If it's not being mitigated through the medication, you have,
it's kind of a catch-22. It's like,
not great.
Hey, we don't like you being on a medication. I've come off the medication. Hey, we don't like that condition for what you're on the medication. Well, how do you want me to fix it? Go back on the medication. Well, we don't like the medication.
Yeah.
Well,
so you have to kind of pick a strategy there with your doctor and with your attorneys at the Ison law firm and determine, how am I going to present this? And what they don't like is that, hey, this guy's been on this medication for 12 years. And then all of a sudden, hey, he's wanting to get a medical, so he's discontinued everything. Especially with antidepressants, they don't seem to like that. So it suggests that, well, you're coming off this medication, whereas you were just on it successfully. And a word to you on antidepressants. If you're on an antidepressant, that one is approved for a special issuance, and then you say, oh, I'm going to go off this so I get, have an easier pathway. I don't have to get a special issuance. The problem there is if you go off of it and then you say, the FAA says, well, you've got a risk for recurrence of underlying depression, for example. And you say, okay, I'm going to go back on the medication.
they'll start all over.
They'll say, great, but you got to be on it for 6 months before you discontinue it. Or before we'll consider you for special issuance.
it's kind of one of those situations where you don't want to necessarily be herky-jerky in
you don't
how
wanna-
you approach it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you've got a documented history of being on a medication and it isn't readily apparent that it is one that the FAA says is disqualifying, you're best to just remain consistent, do your application, do it correctly, truthfully, submit it to the FAA, provide them with the documentation relative to the medication history and the conditions for what you're taking it, and see how they digest it. And if they have a problem with it, then you can adjust accordingly. Wouldn't you say?
I would say absolutely. And I would also say that there are medications that we just don't know. Nobody knows. The AME's not going to know. The FAA,
The FAA doesn't
the
even
FAA doesn't know. And these are medications that are maybe newer medications or treat, maybe more unusual conditions for the FAA that aren't run-of-the-mill conditions. In those circumstances, the FAA has a team in what they call, I guess, the Pharmacological division. That has a name for it. I'm going to call it the Pharmacological division. And they assess these medications for wake up, Bailey. They assess these for aeromedical concerns.
Wake up, Anthony.
Yeah, and so I've seen cases as recently as this month where the individuals originally denied, and then you kind of get the notes from the FAA and see where they're like hemming and hawing, or well, we don't know, this is disqualified, I've not seen this one before, or whatever. And then you kind of have to push on the FAA, say, hey, could you please reconsider this? In light of the fact this is a newer drug and maybe there's no aeromedical side effects or concerns. I've been on this medication for my whole life or whatever, and I've been doing well on it. And why don't you just let me have medical with this medication, considering you don't really know, you're just denying it because you've never seen it before. I'll also add that I don't know where, it's not stated in a regulation, but deep in the annals of the, anal is the right word? Annals? Deep in the recesses of the FAA's
I don't know if that's any better.
labyrinth, recesses of the FAA's labyrinth, there's some policy to where non-FDA approved medications will never be approved. It has to be FDA approved first, is what I understand. Now, could be wrong about that because, again, who knows what's going on up there? You kind of have to roll with the punches.
How successful is that request for reconsideration on those, would you say?
Oh, sometimes I've seen it be a struggle. Sometimes I've seen it be as simple as an email. Go ahead,
It
Christopher.
kind of really depends on the underlying condition, does it not? Certain conditions are going to make you a greater risk to aviation safety when compared against the general public as the norm, such that, hey, we gotta maybe deny this person wholesale. And
What about like side effects of the medication? I'm sure something
Yeah.
that causes significant
now, there was an interesting
drowsiness.
case that came out not too long ago where an individual was going down the SSRI pathway, but he was on the wrong SSRI medication, right?
Right.
And,
It was non-approved for special
non-approved for special issuance. But the guy said, hold my beer. Watch this. And he stayed on this medication. And, all things equal, pretty much showed that he would have checked all the right boxes on the SSRI pathway, but for just being on the wrong medication. And the FAA came back and said, hey, what do you, no, you can't do that. Get out of here. So he took it to the federal court, and they came back and said, well, there's got to be an articulable reason as to why this individual should not be considered for a special issuance in light of the fact that he's demonstrated stability on this medication for this period of time. So, that's kind of a new world, would you say, Anthony, in that regard?
I would say it's like Aladdin on a magic carpet ride. It is a whole new world.
It's a whole new world. But on that particular case, that particular instance is probably more so because he had such a period of demonstrated stability on that medication that any of the risk of side effects would have already been kind of seen.
I think the problem is the FAA is not wanting to do a sort of a case by case. This case by case stuff, I don't think really exists. It's not case by case for the medication per se. It's case by case by, we'll approve this medication if you meet certain criteria, not we'll approve this medication if you meet certain criteria, if that makes sense. So they're not going to say, well, let this person take this antipsychotic, but not this person.
They seem to kind of work more on, the studies, the population studies.
Yeah. It's not
the general population, that's your standard. And if the general population is having this issue with this medication, then we just can't trust it, even if you're doing well with it.
Correct. Want to hear a cockpit conundrum, Bailey? You're the PIC.
What? Just have her read it.
I'm going to have to add some flair. She can answer. You're the PIC, pilot in command, of a late afternoon Part 91 flight from Nashville to Charlotte. The cities don't matter. It's not relevant to the story, I don't think. In a G1000 equipped SR-22. Weather is VFR but hazy, with a warm frontal boundary. warm frontal boundary, expecting to bring lowering ceilings after sunset.
There's warm frontal boundary.
Yeah.
There's
Something
lowering
like that.
ceilings.
Yeah, who wrote this? There's no co-pilot, it's just you. But here's a twist. You woke up with mild sinus pressure and took a medication from your bathroom cabinet before heading to the airport. The flight has gone smoothly until now. 40 minutes after takeoff, approaching top of descent, you begin to notice subtle difficulty focusing on the PFD, a faint sense of drowsiness, dry mouth. You miskey the radio frequency twice, and your altitude wanders plus or minus 200 feet despite having AP off only briefly.
He's got dehydration. Move on.
You suddenly realize you might not have fully checked whether this medication was FAA approved. What you remember from the bottle was as follows. It was a non-drowsy sinus and allergy relief gel capsule. Name started with a D, as do most things. You think it might have been the generic version of a popular decongestant. The bottle had a faded label, as they do. You're not 100% confident it didn't expire years ago. You did feel a quick reduction in sinus pressure after taking it. Meanwhile, air traffic control instructs you, descend and maintain 4,000. Expect vectors ILS 36 right. I'm glad.
They don't talk that slow and low.
Yeah. I showed up for work today. little joke there. A thin layer of haze has become a milky soup between 5,000 and 3,000. You're about to enter it. You wonder, am I good to continue? Here's the conundrum, Bailey. From an aeromedical perspective, what is your safest and legally defensible course of action right now? How should this situation be handled post-flight to avoid a problem under 6153 and preserve medical certification?
So he's descending into into IFR.
Sound of it.
I think it's a little late to be having that conversation, isn't it?
Maybe that's part of the answer. Maybe that's part of the answer.
Things have progressed quickly. I guess they're getting serious.
And also, he soiled himself.
Was that in there?
No, I'm just adding that extra trigger.
Well,
I'm soiling myself listening to
I don't know.
to
It's
his
such
conundrum.
a complicated and long-winded question. I feel like I've been right there with him the whole time. Wait, probably before he took off, probably should have looked at the bottle and really determined, am I safe to fly with this medication?
I think it's all hindsight work here with this one.
Yeah, I think
He stands a lesson.
Well, I mean, if he gets on the ground safely. I mean, I guess the question is,
Let's say he does get on the ground. Let's say he just has to punch through and somehow he makes it. Fine. He's fine. Now. What's the problem now? What does he do now?
worries about somebody doing a hotline complaint on him, I guess.
Yeah. Who's going to know? He's all by himself.
I mean, what if it
hadn't gone well? What if it had gone? Then he'd really be. So I think it still stands as a lesson for him next time. Don't take just random pills.
All of those just tedious facts you gave us. Was it? Were they necessary?
Not really, but it serves. It put the listener in that position to remember next time. Don't be taking stuff. It's like our mom used to not let us ride with friends in their cars for fear they'd start smoking. Remember that? You got to be very. I guess she was.
You all come out of it chains.
Yeah, I guess she was concerned we would start smoking.
What was that? This is news to me. That's why
She didn't care about you.
not safety.
You
or anything
deserve
like
to
that.
light up.
I
No,
guess.
that was a legitimate expression to me once. I didn't have
Cigarettes,
it-
not
I-
pot
yeah.
or anything else. It was
I didn't have any
cigarettes.
friends, so it wasn't really a problem.
You seem to be the most impressionable, I guess.
Ooh, what's that paper on fire in your mouth?
All right,
So just don't take random medications. Like if a friend gives you some pills, don't take them.
I've seen that a few times when people call up and they're out doing whatever it is they're doing. It's not illegal stuff they're doing. They're just out hanging around with friends.
It's
and
vapes. It's
vapes. It's always a vape, and a friend gives them the vape and they take a hit on it, and they say, "Oh, I didn't know what was in it, but I think it might have had a little bit of weed or whatever, right?" And then, without fail, the next day they have a random DOT drug test. It's just always
I
some
told Bailey
unfortunate circumstance.
during training yesterday at lunch that we've had circumstances where people have bought pills online
Yeah,
and kind of find out they're drugs. So that's a problem.
yeah, and then
They're not drugs like medication drugs. They're illicit.
you
gotta
just
hold-
got to be very vigilant about
You're not
what
like
you
yeah.
are putting in your body. If you're going to fly, and if you're going to fly, certainly for a living, you really
It's-
need to be
You just have to accept that it's a
straight and
yeah.
narrow, and almost I would go so far as to say a teetotaler.
Correct.
'cause-
Now, there's going to be times where you have to take medication. Now, you're going to get diabetes. You're going to get a heart attack. You're going to get a stroke.
the things that you got to do to keep you living.
There are things that, and those things are doable, right? It's not like the FAA has, well, these people with diabetes, we're not going to let them take a medication.
But some of these recreational things and some of these, kind of
performance enhancing.
or, hey, I want to, look at GLPs, you take a GLP for weight loss, right?
that requires a khaki.
That's a whole thing, that's not just, hey, I'm a big boy that needs to lose some weight, right? And I'm going to take this medication and it's going to all be hunky dory. No, the FAA is
now
gonna
you are
put
talking about yourself.
well, that one did hit close to home, but
like
I
that
mean-
lunch. Well, I think we flogged this one. We really just took it to the gallows. Bailey,
You're gonna take us to the gallows for it.
yeah, got anything interesting to say yet? No. All right, maybe the next episode.
maybe in her second month.
Do you think we'll ever have a time in which she says more than one word
I'm gonna
I don't
as a
know.
response?
I'm gonna task her.
She did have that zinger on you that one time.
Was it more than one word?
I don't know.
I think
Christopher,
so.
you're getting
What
a
if
call.
it makes you feel better?
Whoa.
It was
What?
unintentional.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like,
She speaks.
All right. We'll wrap it
All
up
right.
so Christopher can take his important call.
Goodbye.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.